We are live with another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. As you can see, Tanner is not with us right now. He's hoping to join us here shortly. I do not know where he is on the road, but we have our good friend Aaron Lynch. As I see the banners are all screwed up, I am not Tanner Lee. Lynch is not the J-Man. Tanner's in charge of this stuff, so bear with me. I don't know how to flip it. We might just have to. I might just have to be Tanner tonight.
I'll be you tonight.
Yeah, Lynch can be me. He can give a bucket. He can do all the reads, all that. He can take over. I'll just sit back and let him control the show tonight. How about that?
Sure, why not?
How you doing tonight, Aaron?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Josh?
Pretty good. Pretty good. It is a Monday. It is a hot Monday too. Tara and I always talk about the weather. It feels like, but it is wind chill. Real feels almost 100 degrees here. There is no wind chill on June 19th. At least if there is, it'd be a real rough deal for all of us. But it is hot here in Lockport, Illinois. I have a trivia question for you. It is NBA related, and if Tanner joins us, again, do not know where Tanner is on the road, but I will give it to him later. Nikola Jokic is the second player to average a triple-double in series-clinching wins in a single postseason all-time. Series-clinching wins, so the clincher in round 1, round 2, round 3, finals, etc. Pretty self-explanatory. What other player did this? So Nikola Jokic is the second player to average a triple-double in series-clinching wins in a single postseason all-time. One other player did this. Obviously, this player was really good, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I will give you that one as well.
Okay.
Or will be a Hall of Famer. Who knows?
I was going to say, for Tanner tonight for this Birdie Bogey.
Could be active, could not be active. No one knows except me right now. But Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House has upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere. Located at 703 Main Street in Rochester. As always, Monday night is smoked wings for forget how much they're going for. Let's see. I have it pulled up here. Smoked wings, $2 smoked wings and $1 off domestic beers every Monday. So go get some wings. And go to Arlington Public House anyway because they have really good food that aren't wings. Monday special is the tuna melt, soups, loaded potato, cactus chili, drinks, chocolate icing mocha, butterscotch latte. But I'm getting notifications that for whatever reason we are not up on the ISC Sports Network. They're having trouble streaming to our destination. Is it possible the stream was ended or deleted on the destination? So I am blaming Tanner because I did what I usually do.
But the show must go on.
The show must go on, and maybe Tanner can figure it out once he joins us. But sorry for those that are trying to watch on the ISC Sports Network. We will hopefully have it back up here soon. As we talked about before the show, we have NBA Finals to cover. We have U.S. Open golf. Then I'll talk some baseball. So how much of the NBA Finals did you watch?
I watched quite a bit. I would say one thing I wish they would do is kind of put the games, especially when they're Mountain Time, a little sooner on the East Coast. Yeah. But I did watch. I figured the Heat were going to run out of gas. It was a matter of time. When Tyler Hero being out for much of that series, I figured was going to be, a big thing of it. But that roster in its age, I commend that team. I mean, Eric Spoelstra, that culture that Miami Heat have, I think it's tried and true, and they're always going to contend. But it was definitely the Nuggets year with Murray returning and Jokic and the dominance of that, and the key role players of KCP this past offseason, adding that. Porter elevating his game after having these back injuries. I mean, this franchise made a lot of acquisitions and gambles, high risk acquisitions, but you have to as a small market team in the league, and it paid off. Jokic dominant performance. Could not believe it after him winning, just wanting to go home.
Yeah,
That was the biggest shocker to me. I think, and I know there had been analysts comparing him to one all-time great in Duncan. I think he on par with that early. But we'll just have to see where this career and this team projects going out. The whole core is under contract. I don't know how the West will look next year, and I also don't know how the East will look because as we see today, there's changes happening already this early in this offseason.
Right. And going back to the Jokic, Tim Duncan comparisons, he's arguably a better player. At least stats wise, he's the better player. But as far as him wanting to go home, he dropped some pretty legendary quotes when they told him the parade was on Thursday. He's like, no, I gotta go home to my horses. And then he said something like, pretty much everyone hates their job, sort of deal, which is a man after my own heart, even though he's making millions and he gets to play a game. But he stuck around for the parade and said it was the greatest day of his life. So he kind of made amends there. But as far as the Heat goes, they have the most finals appearances since 2006. They haven't won in about 10 years or so, which is not really that big of a deal if you're getting there. Especially with this roster, as you said, without Tyler Hero, got hurt. He got hurt. Did he get hurt game 1 of the first round?
Yeah, he did.
And so to be without one of their better players through the entire postseason is really a testament to their team sticking together. I mean, they're one of the best defensive teams in the entire league. And it shows that defense can still win games, especially when you have a superstar like Jimmy Butler and good pieces around him as well. And to get there as an 8 seed is pretty incredible.
The run you had to go on and going through Milwaukee, and I understand Milwaukee they didn't play out how it should have, and I see that team probably restructuring. I mean, letting go of Budenholzer was first key in that. We'll see, in this offseason what other moves they do make, to keep Giannis in the championship window open. Going through the Knicks the second round, that was a surprise team. This whole season, Jalen Brunson really revolutionized that with Tibbs. But the thing that I realized with this Heat team was when they go up 3-0 against Boston and almost blow that series and still win. But when they won in Boston, that's when I figured they were going to be gassed because Denver had 9 days rest. It was not going to be, I understand. We'll have to see what the ratings come out as because I don't know if they've been released yet. I haven't seen them.
I haven't seen them either.
But I know you made a comment last week that this is probably not the best finals the NBA's had, and I tend to agree with that. I think maybe the Pistons Spurs back in 2005 was probably the least anticipated finals I can remember besides this one.
Yeah.
But we'll see with the Draymond now declining his player option. The Heat are going to be interested in that one too, and bringing him onto that squad.
Yeah, we've been on record many times saying how much we've hated Draymond from his Michigan State days for sure. But declined $27.9 million. You think he's going to get that in the open market?
From teams that need, he'll be in a bottom feeder team if he wants to get that money. But I know he wants a long-term deal. That's been reported. It's going to be interesting if the Pistons do have cap space. He might go back to Michigan. But do you want to be on a contender? Because the other teams are going to have to do sign trades, Dallas, Miami, Phoenix. And do you want to leave Golden State, which I think he's kind of fractured that locker room. And I think, leadership with changing and what happened with Jordan Poole at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
I don't see Draymond sticking around there. But I do probably see one of these other teams vying for him.
Yeah, his shtick kind of it's gotten old, but especially when you're no longer winning championships, that's when it's really starts to rub people the wrong way. And of course, Golden State won last year, but But this year things didn't go as well, and it seems like he kind of fractured some relationships there, especially with the Jordan Poole thing. That's just who he is. He loves to play the villain, and he's probably got enough left in the tank to be like a glue guy of sorts for a team like Miami, for a really good team. I don't think he will be very happy with his market, in my opinion, because he's 4 years old, 33, 34 years old.
Yep.
Not a great offensive player. He can pass, more of kind of and he would have fit fantastically back in like the late 80s with those like Detroit Pistons teams. But today's NBA, he found a perfect spot for him in Golden State. It'll be interesting to see if he can actually replicate that success elsewhere.
I really think, and we'll switch subject here because the ongoing developing situation with the Phoenix Suns and trading for Bradley Beal. But you just lost your distributor in Chris Paul. You made that choice, which Chris Paul was shocked today in talking with media about being shipped out. But a Draymond Green that still can facilitate going to Phoenix. Now the Kevin
Durant get along?
That's the thing. Can he get along with Durant? I mean, because Phoenix to me is a perfect scenario for him. Because you have KD, you have Devin Booker, you have Bradley Beal, you have DeAndre Ayton. I mean, it's positionless basketball, but Draymond's skill set fits that core group better than anyone else on the open market.
Right. As far as Paul getting traded to Washington, there's not going to be enough balls to go around there in Phoenix. Booker's I don't know if he's their best player, if Durant's their best player.
I actually think Bradley Beal is.
Really?
I've
never been a huge Beal fan. Maybe that's just because he's been with Washington. They've been so bad for so long. But he's a guy that also can't really stay healthy, can he?
No, he can't stay healthy. And I wonder if this changes scenario because he's been, the Wizards have been the only thing he's known. And honestly, they haven't done anything since John Wall was there.
Right.
When they kind of made him the solo league guy, it really didn't work out that well. Westbrook was there kind of help, but he's the type of person that he kind of needs to spot up and shoot. And I think if you put him on this Phoenix roster, you have a bunch of scorers and you have Ayton as your interior post. You need someone to facilitate.
Right.
So, and Draymond, I think, is like the perfect piece in that whole scenario.
He's pretty much a point guard. But again, as you said, positionless basketball, which is kind of how the NBA's turning, and maybe that's why Phoenix got rid of Chris Paul. It seems like there's always been kind of locker room issues with Chris Paul that surrounded him. At least I know. Where was he? Was he in? Obviously he was in LA. Was he in Houston? Or am I thinking somebody? I'm thinking.
No, he was in Houston.
That's what I thought. It
so
seemed
him,
like there
John
was
Wall,
there.
and him and John Wall. I saw an interesting thing today. Him, John Wall, and Russell Westbrook have played for the 4 exact same teams: the Clippers, OKC, Houston, and the Wizards now.
Yeah, they're kind of following the same path a little differently. But it sure feels like Chris Paul's going to end his career ringless. He had a great opportunity during the COVID year or the 2021 to do it, and they lost. But now going to Washington. He's 36, isn't he?
He's 37. He's going to get. I bet the Wizards are going to buy out the contract, and he's going to have his options. Where he goes, that's difficult.
Yeah, maybe he finally ends up with the Lakers. David Stern's not there to block it anymore.
That would be one roster to see. Them cap strapped with 2 guys that are going to be pushing 40.
Yeah,
on that team. That would be something to see.
Yeah, it's got a Gary Payton, Karl Malone vibe. Him going out to LA if that ends up happening.
That very good comp.
Yeah, try to ring chase and it doesn't go very well.
Hey, they made it to the finals that year.
Yeah.
So that was a fractured Laker team of talking about locker rooms.
Yes,
with Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah. It got real ugly towards the end there, for sure.
It did, but hey, this offseason, it just started. The NBA drafts this Thursday. We're going to see probably a once in generational talent go to San Antonio and Victor Wembanyama, and we'll see kind of. I think the draft really starts at number 2 this week. I've heard rumors of the second pick getting shopped to New Orleans for Zion.
And Brandon Ingram, maybe?
I don't think they're going to let go of Brandon Ingram. But that would be interesting, Detroit having that young of a core. So we'll kind of see. I mean, there'll be a lot of trades and facilitation happen this week as we get closer to the draft and on draft night. But, it's a young off season.
And we have Damian Lillard too, if there's going to be a resolution for that.
I can't see him not going to Boston.
Really?
I see that as like the perfect fit is Boston.
Shams came out today and said that Damian wants to stay with Portland if at all possible. I follow a lot of Dolphins guys who also cover the Miami Heat, and they're mentioning them as a possibility. They don't know if they can have a package put together that will be able to get him. By Thursday, it'll be interesting to see if we have a resolution on Damian Lillard, because they have the 3rd pick. Is that correct, Portland?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember the draft order off the top of my head.
Yeah, maybe they try everything in their power to trade that 3rd pick for somebody to put around him. They also have the 25th pick, I believe. They have a pick in the 20s as well that they can use to try to put a team around. I mean, they had some good teams back 4, 5, 6 years ago. Of course, McCollum's no longer there, and they just don't have that. He's pretty much the guy, and they haven't been very good.
It's probably going to be a rebuild situation in Portland as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, it might be a rebuild situation. One of the other pieces of news that happened this past week, John Moran getting suspended 25 games.
Yes. Yeah. That's I think Silver, Adam Silver was waiting to hand that down. I think the suspension's a little harsh.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. What he did wasn't illegal, was it?
It wasn't illegal, but I mean, when you're one of the face of the NBA,
a good look. But he didn't break any rules, nothing. So a lot of people were talking 50 games, which that would have definitely been excessive.
That would have been excessive. I see where the league was going. They want to get away from what happened in the Malice at the Palace, in that perception.
The Gilbert Arenas, Javaris Crittenton deal. It makes sense. I'm not a big Ja fan, and that's one of the best young rosters in the NBA. But Ja keeps making stupid mistakes like this. He'll be out of the NBA shortly.
Maybe Memphis shops and looks at Lillard.
Yeah,
one of those picks.
That's a good point. Maybe change of scenery for Ja would be good. Get away from Memphis, where he's pretty much. Is he from Memphis?
He's from that area, like the East Tennessee part, not West Tennessee.
Okay.
So I don't think they'll shop him, but I think Damian Lillard, that's a place you could circle on your destinations potentially working out, especially with that roster. You're going to miss Ja for more than a quarter of the season. Lillard can fill that gap. Lillard can provide that experience, and then you just fit Ja around him when he comes back, because I don't know if Dylan Brooks is going to still be there.
Yeah. He's got some Draymond to him as well, where it seems like if you're winning, you can handle it, but when you lose, teammates don't like him. Of course, players around the NBA clearly don't like him, so he might have talked himself out of the NBA at this point.
He might have, but I think the Heat probably would take him.
Yeah. As far as Lillard to Boston, you think it like Jaylen Brown for Lillard straight up sort of deal?
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like that of a package. Jaylen Brown, I think he's underappreciated in Boston. I really do, behind Tatum. I think the fans, I would love to have him in Indiana. It's an embarrassment of riches of what they have in Boston. I think with the 2 max contracts coming up with him and Tatum that they're going to have to pay, they're probably going to move on from one of them.
Yeah, and it seems like Jaylen Brown's the gets the main brunt of the ire of the fans there for sure.
Yep.
Not nearly as bad as the fans just don't like him for whatever reason. I don't know. It's because they're spoiled by having Jason Tatum, and he's kind of Robin to his Batman. But the fans for whatever reason hate him. As Tanner's joining us right now. I'll add him to the stream real quick. Tanner man.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What up? We're talking NBA Finals, talking NBA offseason with the draft coming up on Thursday.
Okay, yeah. Nuggets got it done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while since game, whatever it was, game 5 has ended now, but I don't think anybody thought the Heat were going to come back from a 3-1 deficit, but Nuggets closed it out, and I know this will tick J-Man off, but I saw the city of Denver is the only city since 2015 to have a Super Bowl, a Stanley Cup, and a NBA Finals champion. So,
city of Denver getting it done. Oh boy,
I really don't want to consider Denver a small market anymore.
No, it shouldn't be considered a small
That's a
market
good point. That's a good point. I've kind of wondered for a while why. I mean, it's growing in population like crazy. I kind of always wonder why is it considered a small market, but. I don't think we have to worry about the Rockies winning the World Series anytime soon.
I'm definitely not worried about that.
Nope.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, I think we're already seeing some moves out of some Western Conference teams, the Phoenix Suns, for example, to try to get on that level of the Nuggets. I mean, on paper, the Suns should have been better.
Yeah.
It should have been, but as we were stating earlier, Tanner, I think with the move with trading Chris Paul and Draymond declining his player option, I think Draymond, if he can mend fences KD, I think that's the perfect spot for him.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Those personalities, though, they didn't do very well in Golden State. He can make amends all he wants, but once that season starts, what's going to happen if things start going sour there? It could go south quickly.
Oh, yeah. But it would be – Draymond's one of those players, it would be weird to see him in a different uniform than a Golden State Warrior uniform.
If he was not taken by Golden State, I don't think he would have lasted more than 2 or 3 years in the NBA. It was a perfect spot for him.
Yep. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I don't know if you guys have hit on it already or not. But Aaron, what do you want to see the Pacers do in the offseason? As he chuckles.
As every Pacers fan would realize, you never going to see a number 1 pick. I don't feel in our lifetime.
They just can't get lucky enough.
I can't. I hope they trade the pick off on Thursday night. I really don't want to select another young talent. We definitely need a wing to score. But I don't know what's going to really be in free agency and what you can kind of deal with. As I was telling Josh, I'd love to see Jaylen Brown. That's pipe dream, but highly doubt that would happen. I just have to see. I think, as I told Josh, I think the draft's going to start at number 2 after Victor gets selected by Spurs. And rumors have been Zion Williamson to Detroit for that second pick. That would be incredible.
Just as long as he can't have another baby mama in Detroit. Jeez.
If he can get on the court, Ivy Cunningham.
Monty Williams is coach now.
Who, in my opinion, got overpaid, but go get that bag.
Right. And what's your opinion on the NBA coaching culture, Lynch? Since you're a bigger NBA fan than Josh and I'm surprised by a lot of these teams not having patience with their guys anymore, or a lot of guys who have just won championships for cities who have never done anything getting the axe 2 to 3 years later.
Yeah, the Vogel situation in LA, that we can know who probably drove that bus.
Yeah, LeBron. Yeah. LeBron makes every decision out there.
But the Mike Budenholzer getting fired, he flat out said his game management in that first round, it was bad. It was bad. I watched that series. Should not have happened. I think when you get you not giving yourself patience, I think it's any sport professionally now. NFL's the same way. MLB. I mean, Josh, you can comment. I don't think David Ross is going to be there after this year. They don't make playoffs.
I think Denver should have given Nathaniel Hackett a little bit of leeway there and had him come back.
That Christmas Eve 100-0 game did him in.
Worst game, I think, in it. Well, no, the Colts Broncos was pretty bad earlier last year.
Broncos, a lot of games of their last year could have made that list as worst NFL games ever, but that's a story for a different day.
Sports.
But,
it's just the trend, unfortunately.
No, you're right. It's excuse me, money talks. So
with that, do we want to transition to the U.S. Open?
Sure, I'd love to. Did was there a birdie or bogey question tonight?
Yes. Yeah, I will give it to you real quick.
All right.
I hope you have word associations.
I do, I'll go ahead and do it right after the birdie or bogey because it's NBA related. So,
Nikola Jokic is the second player to average a triple-double in series clinching wins in a single postseason. So, the series clincher opening round, second round, conference finals, and then NBA finals. What other player did this?
God, I'm surprised there's another player. So,
yeah.
Great. Oh, I love NBA questions.
You got phone a friend tonight.
I do have phone a friend. We should put lifelines in this someday, Jay, man. Maybe next year in 2024. 50-50.
Yeah.
Phone a friend.
Ask the audience.
Yeah, ask the audience. That'd go well. All two viewers. and Thad Mooney would screw me over, probably. So, which it looks like, I think the IC Sports Network, we're having problems with the connection tonight. Yeah. So, no biggies there. We'll get that figured out in next week. But, yes. And you already did the sponsor read, I take it, for birdie or bogey.
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. But I do have some word association, and it's kind of off the cuff here. But it is number one overall picks in the NFL, NBA draft. I'm just going to throw out some random ones. Both of you guys can give me your thoughts. Let's go with the 1971 number one overall pick, Austin Carr.
Notre Dame boy.
Notre Dame boy. That's basically the only reason. And didn't he have the highest single point performance in NCAA tournament history for a while? Or something along those lines?
He put up a ton of points there, is what I remember.
He did. How about the 1974 number one overall pick, Bill Walton?
Oh, man. Hippie.
Yep.
Gotta love him.
1979, Magic Johnson.
Pretty good. Not bad. Yeah, the 80s kind of caught up with him a little bit. But other than that, fantastic show on HBO, Winning Time. Second season comes out in August. No free ad.
It's amazing some of the picks in the 80s that went number one overall as I'm looking at this list. How about 1980, Joe Barry Carroll?
Boiler up.
Take that one.
Boiler up. Yep. Mine's somewhere around here.
I'm lucky I had that in arm's reach. But also in the 1980s, 84, you had Akeem Olajuwon, of course. That was the famous Michael Jordan draft.
That's on this day, too.
Oh, actually, is it?
Yeah. So, 39 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think they regret taking him.
No.
The very next year in 85, Patrick Ewing.
Worst head basketball coach in the history of college.
Oh, boy, he was bad.
He was so bad.
Oh, man. I would hate to go back to your all modern to be that horrible.
It can only end poorly.
There's a reason you don't hire legends, collegiately or professionally. It doesn't end well more times than not. Then 87, David Robinson. I mean, it's like legend after legend in the 80s.
Admiral.
Yep, Admiral, Spurs, championship, him and Duncan.
How about 1991 from the Hornets, Larry Johnson? Oh, man, I couldn't have told you he was number one overall pick.
Running Rebels. That team was loaded. Him, Stacey Ogman. Who else they have? Greg Anthony.
Grandmama, Larry Johnson.
Didn't he play with Bugsy?
Yeah. He did play with Bugsy and Alonzo Mourning.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How have the Hornets not won more historically? Yeah.
Hey, now with MJ still on the team, we don't know.
Yeah.
1992, a guy named Shaquille O'Neal was drafted to the Orlando Magic.
Pretty good. Illinois beat him.
I just think of Papa John's anymore with him.
That guy's still has a lot of sponsors out there. 1993, the Magic had the number one overall pick again and took Chris Webber.
Magic,
then traded him.
Yes.
He'll be remembered. He was a really good NBA guy, but he'll be remembered for one thing.
Timeout.
1994, the Milwaukee Bucks took Glenn Big Dog Robinson.
Boy, that's good.
See, now I'm just doing it for my bobbleheads. To get some airtime. 96, the Philadelphia 76ers took a guy named Allen Iverson.
Pretty good.
The answer. The true answer.
In the following year, 97, the Spurs took a guy named Tim Duncan.
Man, that's pretty good. Back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw something with like the Celtics were so sure they were going to get the number 1 overall pick. They already had Duncan jerseys ready and made. Didn't get them. How about let's skip ahead a little bit. How about 2002 Houston Rockets, Yao Ming?
What could have been?
Yeah. Maybe the most underrated player of this generation.
He was, that's a 7'6" guy who could shoot a jumper.
Yeah.
Pretty unheard of.
That's a 30 for 30 I'd love to see.
Yeah. How about 2005 Milwaukee Bucks, Andrew Bogut?
A collegiate player of the year in 05, taken before Marvin Williams went second. Mm-hmm. Aaron Williams went third. Chris Paul went fourth.
Yeah.
So should have been probably Chris Paul, D. Will, and then maybe Bogut. I don't know who else is in that draft.
Brandon Roy.
Brandon. That's the name I forgot about.
Him too.
But he does have a ring. Bogut does have a ring from Golden State, if you recall.
Yes, he does.
A couple more what-ifs here, and then we'll wrap this segment up. 07 Trailblazers, Greg Oden.
Man, should have been Durant.
The Sonics took Durant, number 2. See, I got everything in reach tonight. This is beautiful.
Impressive.
Was he the last Big Ten player to go number 1?
Yes, he is. I was looking at the list right here. Yep. That tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, Big Ten haven't won a championship.
Yeah.
23 years.
2008 Chicago Bulls, Derrick Rose. We mention him as a what if all the time on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think one of the only MVPs that'll never get in the Hall of Fame.
Probably. He was explosive. Unfortunately, some guys can get by with ACLs in their later years. Quickness was his game. Let's do one more here. How about 2017 Philadelphia 76ers, Markelle Fultz?
He's still hanging around. He had the yips there for a while, though.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was weird. I mean, you hear it of golf a lot, but you don't hear it in professional basketball.
Yeah.
Man. Should have stayed in school.
His shot looked like Chuck Hayes. Free throw.
Yeah.
That 76ers team thought they had it made with Embiid and Simmons and Fultz and there's another young one, and the process didn't turn out to be a process.
Yeah. No, it did. Embiid has MVP.
Yeah, he does have MVP. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. He can have the MVP. But that is the word association segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Performer Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or a sales meeting, Performer Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815, or if you'd rather give her an email, you can do that as well, barbara.vanweinsberg@proforma.com. Now we can talk some golf. I was hoping this was going to be one of my favorite podcast episodes ever in Tan J Mitchell history. Maybe my favorite, but it wasn't meant to be, and I'm still depressed. From his first swing of the day, wasn't meant to be for Rickie Fowler.
I will say this. As a listener, and when you asked me to come on, I thought about this. There's a 50% chance that either of you two would have been happy. A bucket would have been finally nailed with Rory.
It's true.
Or Rickie. But
it's true. I think Wyndham Clark, heck of a story. I mean, the guy earned it. Some of the up and downs and the saves he had, incredible, even though his nerves were coming out at the end. But we can't put ourselves in those shoes, what it's like to close out a major.
The shot on 14, the second shot on the 14, with Rory on the tee over there on 15 on that short par 3.
Yes.
Hit a stone of a 3-wood up to that green and rolls on. Has a look at eagle. I knew he closed out because it's 2-putt birdie at that point.
It was a top 5 shot of the year, if not top 3 shot of the year, in my opinion. But what I want to say about him, I mean, and he deserved it, so I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but I think most of America and golf fans around the world are rooting for either Rory McIlroy or Rickie Fowler, I think. And so to fight through that adversity on top of everything else, pretty darn impressive.
I would say when the NBC probably thought they had it made.
Oh, sure.
There were truly 4 guys that they were going to be in the mix. It was going to be Wyndham, Rory, Rickie, or Scotty, because of Scotty's finish on Saturday.
And I thought Dustin had an outside chance of making a run with his firepower, but
I didn't think so. I thought Scotty potentially, if the putter got hot, because no one's hitting the ball better than him.
No.
And, you look at it, Hollywood, everything, a corporate U.S. Open, we'll say. But when to come out with that story, you probably, as a fan, unless you're a diehard golf fan, you're like, who's this guy? But unbelievable gall and stones of him to know that the pressure was out there, know the crowds were not on his side, what limited crowds there were, and to put on that performance yesterday, unbelievable.
Do you think he's got a really good career ahead of him, or do you think, it sounds like I'm ripping everybody tonight, or do you think he's going to be more of a Webb Simpson, which Webb Simpson's had a good career, don't get me wrong. I just don't think he's going to win another major.
Webb Simpson's a lot more accomplished than what he would. I almost liken it to Gary Woodland.
Okay, that's Open. Fair. That's fair.
He literally is 29 years old.
Yep.
He just won his first PGA Tour event last month.
Mm-hmm.
Webb Simpson had a Ryder Cup history. Webb Simpson's won a Players. Webb Simpson's won a lot more.
That's a good point.
So a Gary Woodland comp is kind of what I see.
I like that. That's better than the one. Yeah, that's better than Webb Simpson. So, but it wasn't Rickie's day, but it's just unfortunate because he's not getting younger. I mean, he's 34, 35. I can't remember what he is exactly.
He's 34.
Going to be 35 in December.
Brandel had a good point on the live from show on Saturday night. Rickie's time has come and passed.
Yep.
Because Rickie's now not the farthest on tour.
No.
He's not the best ball striker.
Nope.
He's not the best wedge player.
Nope.
And he's not even more the best putters.
Mm-hmm.
Rickie, though, has put together one of the better seasons this year historically in his career with all the top 20s, that he's had. And I think he deserves a Ryder Cup spot for Team USA. But I think as time goes on, I don't see him winning a major at all.
That's kind of what I was thinking when I was driving from the golf outing up home tonight. That's what makes this one hurt as a diehard Rickie fan. I think this was probably his best chance he was going to have. I think he'll win more tournaments. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the mix of the Travelers this week. He's playing that well. He has 3 straight top 10s. But as far as majors go, that's a whole different animal to win. I guess his best shot, in my opinion, would be an Open Championship. And maybe it's this year's. I mean, last time it was at where it is. It's escaping me right now. I know Rory won, but Rickie did get second.
It's at Hoylake.
Yeah, Rickie did get second back in 2014. So I don't know. I think his game's in good shape, but like everybody, America got to see, you get the highs and lows of Rickie Fowler. He's a roller coaster. He had the most birdies in the tournament and most birdies in U.S. Open history, but he also had the most bogeys this week. So you take what you get. It's just up and down. So and his ball striking just was not good yesterday. If he hits the greens Rory hits yesterday, he probably wins, but he didn't.
Let's flip that script and let's talk about Rory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Josh, you were, I thought about you and I was like, this is it. If he makes, if he just drains one putt.
I had the tweet ready. To go, and he just couldn't. He couldn't hit it close enough. He's hitting greens, but he never gave himself great looks.
He was in control of the ball
all
day from tee to green.
Yep.
And that shot he hit on 11, it was the closest all day in that long par 3. And I was like, this is it. The lid's just gonna pop off. I'll say he gets into a playoff with Wyndham, I think he wins.
I do too. The crowd would have been there. He's probably one of the more intimidating figures out there in the world of golf anymore. mean, he can hit shots that nobody else can besides Tiger back in his prime. You think as many greens he hit yesterday, he would have lucked into one. Finally, that a putt would have just felt. It just didn't happen. It's incredible. I mean, the guy's a credible career, but he's a what if that makes sense, because he has 4 majors, but he could be at 10 pretty easily.
He could. I heard, how we're going to be closing in on 40 majors since his last one.
Yeah.
He won 44 majors in his first 25 starts.
That's incredible.
He has won 0 once the clock ticks over next year.
It's just incredible.
He has not won in a decade a major tournament. He's won everything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, yesterday I thought it was when he got that break on 14 when he didn't go in the bunker. If Scotty didn't find his ball, I don't think it would have matched. But that's when I actually thought to myself, for Josh and his book, I was like, this is it. He got the break of a lifetime. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to just fade, and he doesn't have – he has the desire, but it's not the cockiness that we saw when his early career.
Right.
And I time does that, but it's a true what if with him. And I'll be honest, I think he's going to press in at Hoylake.
Yeah.
Where the last time the Open was there, he won. So it's going to be an interesting last major of the year, because 10 years going into the off season for him, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. I mean, it was an interesting week around the golf world. I mean, we had crazy numbers on Thursday, then everything kind of settled down. The course got being a U.S. Open course. 262s on Thursday. That's just insane.
And Xander didn't go under par at all the rest of the week.
No, he struggled. We saw guys like Justin Thomas, who I know he's struggling right now with the game, shoots an 81 on Friday. We saw other guys. Spieth and did Spieth make the cut? No, he didn't make the cut. I know Koepka made the cut, but wasn't a factor. John Rahm made it on the number, wasn't a factor, even though he made a little run yesterday for a little while.
Fleetwood
had a heck of a Sunday, but those that was so awkward when they hyped him up about making the putt on the last hole and shooting a great round, then he missed. It just kind of sucked the air out of everything. I thought Paul Azinger was awful yesterday. I like the guy, but I didn't think he was on his game yesterday from a commentary level. I mean, for example, I don't remember what hole it was. Wyndham Clark that one time, and Azinger's like, has no chance. And it keeps getting closer, and he's like, that's going to stop. And it's still rolling. It's like, Paul, shut up till the ball comes to rest.
I will say, like NBC, there's definitely a divide if you watch golf, CBS and NBC.
Yeah.
The contract that happened with the TV deal, it's kind of put NBC in a bigger of a bind, not having many tournaments anymore. So this crew isn't. Last time this crew was together was a Florida Swing.
Yeah,
and that's March.
Yeah. Do you like when NBC has terms like this where they can go from Peacock to USA Network to NBC, or do you think that's too much channel switching?
It's terrible because Peacock, you pay for it and you get all these ads.
That's true.
I will say Comcast is the worst. I do love what ESPN, like the PGA Championship, the ESPN Plus, that is on par the best with the Masters.
Yeah, Peacock's it's my least favorite streaming service I have, because even for just normal good series and shows, that app doesn't want to work half the time, or it's lagging. It's awful. And I'm not going to pay $9.99 or whatever it is for no ads. I'll pay the $4.99.
So, Josh, I don't know how much you watched of it this weekend, but Tanner, did you see all the Big Ten Saturday Night Football ads that they ran? And you're just like, stop.
Yeah, with Fall Out Boy on them. Fall Out Boy and Purdue on that commercial. I never thought I'd see the day.
Illinois was on it too.
That's weird.
Every team was on it, but Fall Out Boy is kind of the theme song, I guess, for Big Ten football for NBC.
But you don't need to shove it down our throats. We know.
Well, that's what these advertisers do anymore. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, have you guys talked about that at all? Or we can talk about that soon, but I guess unless you have any more thoughts on golf before we pivot.
No, I think it's going to be interesting now that we're out of a major. and we're going back to the PIF, DP, PGA, with the vote coming up in 2 weeks at Detroit.
That's a good point, because we didn't hear much about it this week, which was nice.
It's good that we didn't, and it didn't foreshadow this, but I think there's going to be a lot of talk. Your point last week, as for a fan's perspective, the bifurcation was not good. You want to see everyone, but I think as a fan, we're going to get screwed regardless, because they're going to shove Aramco commercials down our throats from the Saudi government. Yeah,
no, it's a lot of questions and details to be ironed out there too. A lot.
I hate all marketers.
Yeah, they're the worst. They're the
worst. That includes the guy sitting in the middle.
They're the worst. They're the worst. But we're speaking of marketing, and we kind of hitting on the NBC and the Big Ten commercials. This is a topic, Josh, I wanted to talk about last week, but we didn't have time, and I'm glad you're here tonight because you're a Big Ten fan. What do you think about the 2024-2025 Big Ten football schedules and all these protected rivalries that were announced about 2 weeks ago?
I like it, but I don't. Because they didn't protect the Cannon game, correct?
Yes, they did. That produced two rivals, or IU and Illinois are the two they'll play.
Okay, I thought it was the Brown Jug, Minnesota, Michigan. They didn't protect that.
Correct.
And I didn't. That's a neat trophy to see. I think we're going to come to a point in our lifetime where rivalries won't be protected anymore. I think once the SEC and Big Ten join, we won't see them anymore.
Yeah, I know the Big Ten's at 16 come 2024. I still think we're going to see them reach 20 eventually. I think that's the end number they want to be at. I don't know who those four are, but if the Pac-12 dismantles, which I think it's going to eventually, especially if Colorado and Arizona go to Big 12, then I think the Big Ten will grab Oregon and Washington, and that leaves you with two more. Do you take a swing at Notre Dame? I definitely think if the ACC's in question, I think you have to take a swing at North Carolina from a brand standpoint and definitely basketball. Do you take a swing at Virginia if Notre Dame can't be done? I don't know.
I'll pose this question to both of you. You saw the schedule. You're seeing this. What are you thinking about it, and what are you thinking about your teams and your association, but then the NIL money that probably trickles down?
I mean, I'm fine with UCLA and USC joining. It's weird geographically, but that ended a long time ago. I mean, once the Big 12 added
West Virginia,
and then all that stuff was thrown out the window a long time ago. As a Purdue fan, I'm glad I went to the Big Ten championship game last year because might never see that again in our lifetime, especially because the divisions are gone. But also my expectations with Purdue football and in college football, the landscape is different from college basketball. Purdue can win 7 or 8 games and I'm in football and I'm tickled because that's just probably going to be their ceiling, whereas basketball, shooting for the sky. And that's really the landscape of college football. I think as a fan, sometimes you have to reel in your expectations and just enjoy the sport because what would you guys say? Every year there's 6 to 8 teams realistically who have a chance to win the national championship. I know that will expand a little bit once the playoff does, but let's be honest. There's still probably 10 at the most, even when the playoff expands. 2 other teams are going to have a magical year where lightning strikes, everything adds up, stars align, and they get into the playoff, and then they fold. So I think that I'm coming to the realizations and expectations I have for Purdue football. I can enjoy it more. It's not as pressure-packed for me as Purdue basketball. And, it does. It's going to be brutal, 2025 for Purdue football when they have to play Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA, Notre Dame's on the road, which I'm fine with that because I want to get them back on the schedule. It's stupid that they stopped playing each other. Everybody's got to go through it at some point.
And we'll play USC.
And USC in 24. So,
Josh, your thoughts on Illinois?
Minnesota, Michigan is the Brown Jug. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They've only played once in the past 5 years.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. So
I guess that makes sense why they kicked it out. Still a cool trophy though.
So Illinois in 2024 plays USC, Michigan, and Ohio State. That'll be fun. I haven't even looked at 2025 yet, but
probably easier for 25 then.
Probably it should be. If they're gonna make some noise, this year's the year to do it because their crossovers are like Indiana and Rutgers and Penn State, and their non-conference is pretty easy as well. So this might be their last winning season for a while, but every 6 or 7 years Illinois gets lucky. So
It's getting to the point where the more teams they had, now we're talking about 16 Big Ten and one really elite historic football program and another one that's doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, for UCLA. Everybody thinks about basketball. They've been pretty good in football.
I was going to say Chip Kelly's revived that program.
Yes, he has. They just have nobody come to their games. But
LA,
they don't need basketball either. Yeah, LA in general. I don't think there's really any cupcake games left in the Big Ten anymore. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Do you? I'll ask both of you. Do you see the Big Ten going to a 10 or 11 game conference schedule?
I think 10's inevitable eventually. You got 10 conference games and two non-conference. Yeah.
It's the problem with that is teams aren't going to schedule big time football programs outside of conference.
Right.
They're going to go 2 cupcakes and then 10 conference games. That's the only issue. But yeah, I agree with Tanner. I think it will be 10 or 11 eventually. They're going to have one like off week, and that's going to be when they play like I don't know, a MAC school or whatever, and then it's just
Indiana State.
Grind. Yeah, or Indiana State. Can they even play non FBS anymore?
They can now. They couldn't, and now they're going back to doing that, which is kind of annoying. I kind of like not playing those schools. To be honest, I know it's a good payday for them, and now in the world of NIL, they really need to get paid more than ever. But I wonder how that affects the contracts. 'Cause I know like Purdue's got contracts with schools through like 2033 and stuff to play for football. So I wonder how all that works.
They'll get ripped up.
Yeah,
absolutely get ripped up.
Yeah.
I know that they're doing that with the SEC in regards to if they can go to 9 games. That conference needs to go to 9 games.
They need to. Saban was a proponent for it, and then he was one of the guys that weaseled out and voted for 8, which makes me laugh. He's such a coward. But he's just mad because he's getting passed by some of these schools in NIL.
So I'll pose this question to both of you on this topic. With the Big Ten now getting the landscape of network media rights, Fox, CBS, NBC, do we not see the national media attention outside of ESPN for the SEC, the Big 12, and Pac-12 when it comes to getting into the playoffs?
Oh, I think that's a big reason why the Big Ten made this move. I think they will have the national media on their side now, more so than they ever have before. And when you have 2 big boys, Ohio State's going to be in the mix. Michigan's going to be in the mix now. Penn State could be. Nobody from the West probably will be.
Oh, lie. Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin. Yeah, with Fickle.
Around that program.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, as far as this season goes, it's weird to even say it, but watch out for Iowa.
Yeah, they got a quarterback now.
They finally do. They have some weapons on offense.
They still have Ferentz running the offense.
If old Brian can get her together. But I think Fox is kind of taken over as the number 1 sports network, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
And I personally like that every Saturday we can look forward to a Fox Big Noon, CBS 3:30, NBC night game.
Peacock night game.
Night game, yeah.
Are they doing that even in November? Because I know they don't like later games in November usually, correct?
I don't know how that came about because that was one of the Kevin Warren messes he left was Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State don't want to play at night in November.
Well, Fox didn't want to give up that game anyways for Big Noon.
Right.
Because Fox has the overarching rights with the Big Ten Network. So they had first dibs, and they weren't giving up the Ohio State Michigan game. Right,
which is usually always played at noon. And every Big Ten team still has to play 2 games on Big Ten Network. That's still in their contract. So I don't know. I think it's good for the Big Ten overall. Just maybe not so good for the teams we root for, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I know we all have the same interest on this. I think this NBC deal with the Big Ten is going to put Notre Dame in a bind.
I think it's going to back them up in the corner eventually. Even though I do laugh that the new AD, the next AD at Notre Dame, comes from NBC.
He did a crap job at the PGA of America, so it got so much better when he left.
Yeah, so
we'll see. We are running out of time, so I'm going to get through on this day real quick. So on this day in 1955, Mickey Mantle hit his 100th career homer.
He's one of the most named guys on this segment.
Yeah, he was a pretty good little hitter there. On this day in 1985, Reggie Jackson hit his 513th homer to move into 10th place all time.
Mr. October.
On this day in... It's not a great one. 1992, the Yankees played their first game in Baltimore Orioles Camden Yards. That's supposedly an absolutely gorgeous stadium still.
They like playing there. Aaron Judge specifically liked playing there.
I have an Aaron Judge stat here real quick. Since Aaron Judge has been on the injured list, the New York Yankees are hitting 194 as a team.
I believe it.
They need the MVP back. On this day in 2000, the LA Lakers beat the Indiana Pacers in Game 6 to win the first title in 12 years. They had a 12-year drought. Huh?
Pacers haven't been back since.
2005 U.S. Open men's golf on this day.
05. I'm in a dead blank right now. Was it Retief Goosen?
No, I have never heard of this guy, though.
Who was it?
Michael Campbell.
Oh, yeah. He was a big one-hit wonder. Yeah.
Him and Sean McKeel.
Yeah, he held off Tiger Woods. That's a pretty good claim to fame. I guess.
He got on a Tiger Woods video game for that.
Yeah. Who won the 2006 Stanley Cup?
Carolina Hurricanes.
You nailed it. Good Lord, Lynch.
I was going to guess the Devils.
On this day in 2016, the Cavs won their first NBA title, beating Golden State.
Came back from 3 games to 1.
Who won the 2016 U.S. Open men's golf on this day?
16, you said?
Mm-hmm. I suck at this. I
know who won the PGA that year. I can't remember who won.
Oh, my gosh.
It was a controversial... despite controversial...
Oh, it was Dustin Johnson.
Yes. Despite controversial penalty on the 5th green, Dustin Johnson wins by 3 strokes ahead of runners-up Shane Lowry, Jim Furyk, and Scott Piercy.
That's right, because the year before Chambers Bay, he blew it.
And on this day last year, Matt Fitzpatrick won his first major with a 1-stroke win over Scotty Scheffler and Will Zalatoris.
He made the cut, but he didn't do anything. So,
and I also have not done a book it yet. The book it this week will be...
We got time since we're not on the ISC Sports Network right now with the connection. So
that is true.
Actually, it looks like the connection has been restored, but that's okay. Take your time.
I need a win, so I'm taking Victor Wembanyama or whatever his name is to the Spurs overall. I need it, man. I need it. J-Man's Booker Producers Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers, comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com.
And the On the Stay segment is brought to you by Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs to fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them on Instagram or on Facebook at Mooney Woodcrafts. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your order. So get your sign orders in. You missed it for Father's Day, but get it for a birthday, anniversary, wedding, whatever. Get something like this. A piece which only people watching this podcast can see, but it's my Boiler Breakdown podcast sign that Thad made for me back in September of 2021. It does good work.
Nikola Jokic is the second player to average a triple-double in series-clinching wins in a single postseason all time. Can you name the other player to have done this?
Can I phone a friend?
You each can get a guess, but if you get it wrong, Tanner, you're getting a bogey.
Oh, boy. I'll go first then. Average a triple-double in different...
In series-clinching wins, yes.
I don't think this is right, but I'm going to go Magic Johnson.
Okay, Lynch.
LeBron James.
One of you is correct. And his name is Tanner Lee.
Wow.
You nailed it. Only one stroke behind now.
What a pull.
Yeah.
What a pull.
Magic Johnson did
I was going to be so mad if it was LeBron again.
82 and 83. Magic did that. So, thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man show. Thank you, Aaron Lynch, for filling in.
Yes, thank you, Lynch.
Tonight for the first 20 minutes and providing some hot takes, tips, I don't know.
Takes, topics, picks, and more.
Whatever Tanner says. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll be back at her next Monday.